Hello, today we'll talk about aesthetic styles in motion design that focus on the essence of movement, shape, dynamics in the frame. Let's start with the fundamental concepts of animation known as Walt Disney's 12 principles. And let's bring a video example closer to one of them. The first principle, squash and stretch, changing the shape of an object when it moves. This technique softens the animation, helping to create a sense of elasticity. The second principle, anticipation, the presence of a preparatory movement before the main movement, such as a character's readiness to jump. The principle of easing, the duration of softening or accelerating the movement of an object at the beginning and end of animation, making the movement more natural. There are also arc movements, exaggerations, and many other principles of Walt and Disney that you can study in detail on your own. Current trends in animation and motion are often set by technology companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple. New product presentations are usually accompanied by an innovation in the physics of falling, combining different forms of spaces, texture, and movement in the frame. One of the basic exercises for animators is the concept of bouncing balls. It's a simple but effective way to demonstrate motion techniques and timing. Understand the basic principles. Compression, stretching, anticipation of demonstrating principles of physics, time, and motion, including all rules of Walt Disney. For web interfaces, Google has mandated properties from the Google Material Design Guidelines, but it can also be applied in regular commercial animation. For instance, the organic speed from point A to point B should have smooth braking with a long tail at 80%. If desired, the value can be reduced to 70%. Different animations can have different speeds depending on their functions. For example, the animation of transitioning between screens can be slower than the animation of pressing a button. A Rube Goldberg machine is a device that accomplishes a very simple task in an extremely complicated way, through a long sequence of domino-like interactions. This corresponds with the modern human experience, as our lives have become more complex and interconnected thanks to technology, systems, and networks. Rube Goldberg machines are most commonly found in advertisements to describe the cause and effect relationships of processes or a complex production mechanism. Honda's advertisement shows a complex chain reaction of car parts, ultimately leading to the start of a Honda Accord. Advertising of an analytical online service. The identity of cold tea, based on the illusion of the brewing process like a Rube Goldberg machine. The brand identity of the American popular science TV show Brain Games is dedicated to cognitive science, where the main focus is on illusions, psychological experiments, and counterintuitive thinking. Not just the titles, but also the hovers, subtitles, banners, and other graphic elements in the show releases are styled after Rube Goldberg's machine. Goldberg machines are also presented in commercial offline performances. Red Bull, for instance, through a lengthy promo video, showcases numerous extreme athletes demonstrating what happens when physics becomes tangible. It's impossible not to mention the most striking examples of live installation in the Okogo music video. A Rube Goldberg machine here represents a kinetic sculpture, a triumph of imagination over practicality, showing the joy of complexity and the art of unnecessary cleverness. The Rube Goldberg machine also embodies the human desire to find creative solutions to complex problems, often through unconventional methods. The complexity and precision required to design and execute a successful Rube Goldberg machine highlight human capacity for innovation and resourcefulness, sometimes even the absurdity of the inventive process. In cultural terms, a Rube Goldberg machine represents a visually metaphorical connection within contemporary life, where every action has a reaction and every cause has an effect. The nostalgia, childhood fantasies, creativity, and passion for play did not bypass a Rube Goldberg machine.
Esta es otra duda trascendentalmente jaleística solucionada por nuestro Slupea Lab. Seguiremos.
Next, Plexus style. Plexus takes its name from the After Effects plugin of the same name, which is used to create complex networks of points, lines, and geometric focuses. The basis of the simplex style is coordinate figures with various vertices connected in three-dimensional space. A simplex is typically defined by a set of vertices, and in 3 dimensions, for example, it could be 4 points in space connected by edges. The vertices of the simplex can be placed in 3-dimensional coordinates, and their connections form triangular faces in the case of a tetrahedron. The main thing in this style is to create a complex and visually interesting network that can be embodied by various repeating graphic elements. Some Plexus elements are often included in the abstract tag style we discussed in the first lecture. Although Plexus plugin is mostly used in animation motion, its aesthetics and visual language can to inspire artists and graphic designers to create static compositions and illustrations. In graphic design, a style based on Plexus animation can include the following elements: complex networks of geometric structures resembling interconnected particles lines. Abstract forms that connect with each other create unpredictable and geometrically interesting compositions. The aesthetics of Plexus can be associated with futuristic and technological themes. Adding smooth surfaces and light effects can help create a style that reflects the future. Plexus animation is widely used in safety and analytics videos, maps, and diagrams, for instance, furniture blueprints in virtual fitting rooms. Plexus is also used in sports or medical themes to demonstrate connections within the body, the nervous system, networks of blood vessels flowing throughout the body, or the visualization of artificial limbs. Skeuomorphism, Neumorphism, Glassmorphism, flat design. All styles are more characteristic of UI, and some of them are exclusively found in web interfaces. For example, Skeuomorphism, which we are familiar with from the iOS operating system, tries its utmost to mimic a real object. Elements have a noticeable volume and plenty of details. Skeuomorphism is contrasted with flat design, which later replaced it in mobile phone interfaces. Flat design has shed excess by simplifying the form of an object to flat, primitive icons. Neumorphism is a more recent trend of the 2000s, going beyond the scope of web design. Very popular among Dribble users, Neumorphism as a style aims to create an effect. Volume is added through soft shadows and reflections, which can give elements a sense of concavity and convexity. This style was introduced by web designers and developers as an alternative to flatter and more minimalist approaches. Neumorphism uses the angularity of shadow blurs around objects to highlight them. Thanks to soft shadows, the design looks futuristic, modern, and natural. Transitions in animation from one state to another are usually smooth, and there's an element of neuromorphism. In coding, as the effect of embossment is much easier to achieve with HTML and CSS, neuromorphism features achromatic colors and gradients. Thanks to the use of shadows of a few elements, the style is visually fresh. However, neumorphism can't support cognitive, physical, and visual constraints. Because it lacks a certain level of contrast, the difference between elements and background is minimal. Neumorphism involves very subtle contrast with solid colors. One of the most famous logos in modernity on the intro screen is also made in this style. Daniel Arsham, an artist known for his unique approach to sculpture and installation. It often uses themes of time and archaeology in a style similar to graphic neumorphism. We see human figures, inscriptions, and objects of contemporary culture protruding from half the wall, all in a texture of degradation and destruction. Glassmorphism is a design style characterized by vivid colors, semi-transparent and translucent elements, imitating frosted glass, giving a sense of volume and realism. When light falls on frosted glass, it scatters in all directions, creating a soft glow. This effect is recreated digitally by adjusting transparency and blur. The origins of glassmorphism trace back to Microsoft's Fluent design system, introduced in 2017, in which the acrylic material effect was used, a semi-transparent blurred background. Glassmorphism is characterized by multilayering. Choosing bright colors for the background is a simple way to further emphasize the glass-like look of an element. Bright living color forms contrast with matte glass-like semi-transparent elements. Glassmorphism is well suited for displaying complex map model schemes, as they can be diverse, because it enhances visual hierarchy and helps these elements stand out against the background.